Hello and welcome to Better Offline. I'm your host, Ed Zitron.
Better Offline.
Now, the other day, someone suggested I shouldn't do ASMR-style voices, and I'm still not sure what that means, but does it mean I shouldn't be this close and being like, you're in the bathtub? Either way, I'm never listening to a single bit of feedback I've ever received, but today I'm in studio in New York goddamn city, and I'm joined by the incredible freelance writer Ashwin Rodrigues. How you doing, Ashwin?
Good, thanks for having me.
And Paris Martineau of Consumer Reports.
Hello. Should I do mouth noises too?
Yeah, they love that. But you had a huge story, Paris, in the last week or so. It was like a week or two ago?
Like a week or two. Time's a bit of a blur, honestly.
So it was a story around 23 protein powders and ready-to-drink shakes from popular brands, and you found that heavy metal contamination was common? How common exactly?
Very common, actually. Like more than 2/3 of them. Actually, this will be really important for you and your listeners. 69% of them had 69% of them had levels of lead in one serving that are more than what like our food safety experts say is safe to take in a day.
Jesus Christ.
And the more you kind of dig into the specifics, I feel like the more concerning it gets. Some of the most contaminated powders we found were plant-based ones, and overwhelmingly plant-based powders instead of, versus like whey or dairy or like dairy-based products like whey or beef-based, they had just higher levels of lead.
Where is the lead getting in?
I mean, the lead is getting in from a lot of different ways, but probably the most common is like the soil that plants are grown in. So basically like plants, when they're grown, they suck up all the nutrients around them. But if those nutrients are also contaminants like lead from either industrial pollution or just lead being in the natural environment, it gets in there. And who would have guessed the process of making protein powder, which is called protein concentrate or protein isolate from stuff like plants, involves concentrating and isolating things in it. And if lead's one of those things to begin with, it might get more concentrated.
And are these like popular brands? Are these small brands?
These are popular brands. We basically worked with a market and like analytics team and like trend reporters to figure out what are some of the best selling like protein supplements, what are the most popular brands, most popular flavors. And we kind of did a general kind of sweep of the market and tested those. And to be clear, we didn't just test like a one-off scoop of each. We had, this was like a experiment designed by our laboratory scientists. Over a period of months, they went out and bought different like samples of each product, tested multiple lots, and then analyzed all the results.
Lead planes. Lovely.
Yeah.
So it was, but it's more in plant protein ones.
Yeah. So plant protein powders overwhelmingly, like they had about 9 like lead levels that were 9 times as much as dairy-based ones and twice as much as beef-based ones.
How the fuck are people not dying?
Well, that's the thing. The thing about lead is it's not like to be very clear, this is not like you need to panic if you're eating these, you're going to get lead poisoning.
That's kind of what I was getting at.
Yeah. It's like a lead, if you ask like the FDA or the World Health Organization, the UN or anything, there's like no known safe level of lead. It's bad for you, but it's not like immediately you're going to die bad in these sort of quantities. These are low but concerning levels, and they're concerning because the kind of fucked up thing about lead, I didn't really think about lead that much until I started reporting on this, obviously, but the fucked up thing about lead is that it like kind of lingers in your body. So one of the ways people test for lead is like blood lead level tests, but that doesn't even give you a really full picture. That just shows you how much lead is in your blood. But the thing about lead is your body, this is a gross oversimplification, your body kind of thinks of it like calcium, because they kind of look similar. So it's like nom nom and puts it in your bones or in your teeth. And so it hangs out in there for like the blood in your the lead in your blood kind of can come in and out of your body relatively quickly. The lead in your bones can stay there for a period of like years or decades. And then during periods where because your bones are always kind of repairing themselves.
Right.
And when that happens, then the lead leaches out and it goes bad for you. So the real issue with these products in particular is Consumer Reports has done a lot of like heavy metal testing and stuff.
Right.
But it's we've like tested things like chocolate or tuna or like things like that. But with protein powder, people who like protein powders take them every day
All
or
the time.
sometimes multiple times a day for periods of years. And that's kind of like a perfect storm to give yourself like low-level chronic exposure to lead in a way that could, in like years or decades, like have measurable health effects.
And there's no regulation or testing that should have stopped this. Is there a thing that this breaks? Like, is this,
I mean, this
we
is-
kind of have an FDA.
We kind of have an FDA. This has been one of the most interesting things about this. So last time I was on your podcast, I was a tech reporter, The Information, and I've been like focusing on like tech companies doing bad shit for like
Right.
years. When I switched to Consumer Reports this summer, I'm mostly focusing on food safety, still doing some tech, but it's been fascinating for me to dive into things like the FDA and realize like the FDA historically has always come under criticism, like every government agency, for whether or not it's doing the best with the F part of FDA, food or drugs. Within that purview is dietary supplements, which
Right.
due to some chicanery in the 90s are regulated kind of totally different in a way that basically boils down to the FDA is like, well, we can't really do anything until it comes to market. And then when it comes to market, maybe we'll scrutinize it.
And you just did, Ashwin, a big piece about supplements,
Yeah.
right? And you kind of remarked upon this to me a few times in the past.
Yeah, so my story in the Times was about how supplements, to this point that I saw in the Consumer Reports story about protein, is in the 1994 D-Shea Act.
Yes.
Which was?
DS.
It basically,
Yay.
it classified all dietary supplements to be regulated as food and not drugs.
Mhm.
And dietary supplements is like such a broad umbrella where, it makes sense to me that protein is considered a food, like a whey protein or whatever. But then there's also things that people are taking for purported like drug-like effects like ashwagandha
Yeah.
or,
Or even like melatonin.
what
you
they
know?
call gas station heroin is a dietary
Yes.
supplement.
What is
Boner
gas
pills,
station?
dietary
boner-
supplement also.
What, horny goat weed? Is that it?
No, there's a different, I believe it's kratom and something else.
Oh.
But this is
Yeah.
the stuff that some people were using to wean themselves off of opiates, and then other people who weren't on opiates were
To wean
taking
themselves
it.
Hey, really,
onto
really
opiates.
great that classifies as something the
As
FDA is
food.
like, meh.
Yeah, I've always been fascinated that like the gas station is like at the cutting edge of pharmaceuticals for some reason. You can get things
and
that,
it's so
Robert Evans would love this.
It's so interesting to me because these supplement manufacturers aren't required to prove their products are safe before they like go to market. They aren't required to prove that their products are effective. And they're supposed to comply with like good manufacturing processes. But like, for instance, one stat that really stood out to me while reporting this is like the FDA says there's 12,000 registered dietary supplement manufacturers. Last year, they inspected 600 of them. And like 510 of those inspections were domestic manufacturers. There was only 90 that were inspected abroad. And I suspect that's where a lot of the manufacturing of these products actually occurs.
Is there like a bleed over effect where they say, oh yeah, designed in America, but manufactured in the global south with however?
I mean, there's lots of misleading labeling issues, not necessarily where it's manufactured, but more so what they're allowed to say these things can do. It's like structure of function claims where you can be like, because we know protein is healthy for you, or, this compound is known to be involved in like whatever biological process, they can say supports immune function or designed to help with brain health and all these things where it's like mechanistically it might work, but this thing has not been proven to have the effect that people think it does. So like that is a larger problem than being like this has been designed in the US, but it's actually here.
Right.
And then the way that they aren't regulating these things for any possible positive benefit, it's the same issue with negative, where it's like unless there's either a class action lawsuit or someone proactively finding the people who are experiencing negative side effects, those aren't being reported in the same way that a pharmaceutical drug is required. They're required to.
Which is crazy because Amazon is full of the fucking things. Because I lift a decent amount. It's been a bad month for it, I guess. But I tried various supplements and nothing changed anything. Like I was straight up just like, oh, I'll try that and nothing. Just completely. And I would write down how I felt in the morning and it was the same. Like fairly good attachment to the body. But you can go on like the freak Andrew Huberman's Reddit if you want to see just like, here's all the things that Andrew, and it's like 47 different pills.
Yeah.
And how do you even
Who
know?
has the time is my question. Like, how do you, that's like a level of rich person brain I can't understand once you get into like the hundreds or like multiple dozens of supplements. I'm like, I can't even regularly manage to take 2 pills a day.
I think it's like, it's pseudo, sometimes it's like pseudo, you feel like you're doing something scientific because there's a bunch of companies now where you can go, and even if you want to do it by yourself, you go to, Quest Labs or one of these startups and get a blood test. And most of them will offer a doctor's evaluation of those numbers, but you can look and be like, oh, okay, my iron is low. This was something that happened. A doctor relayed this story to me that they had with a patient where the patient was taking an iron supplement because they were low on iron, and a naturopath that they were seeing recommended that. And like, that makes sense. If you're low on iron, take iron. But what they didn't do is try and figure out why they were low on iron. And when the patient came to see this cardiologist, the cardiologist was concerned that they might have a reason for low iron, thought it might be internal bleeding, refers them to a GI doc. The GI doc did a colonoscopy, and they had stage 4 colon cancer. So it's one of these things where it's like, if you don't understand the pathology as to why you might have a deficiency, even with like the quote unquote boring things like, I don't think people think iron supplements are sexy or like calcium or vitamin D.
No, but they think like quick shortcuts to health are sexy.
Yeah.
And this is something, I just found fascinating researching for the protein story is just like, I spoke to a food historian at length, and I'm sad I couldn't make it more into the article because obviously I had to focus on the other stuff. But she had like spent months researching how basically protein mania has been just a huge thing over the last 2 decades at the very least. But it's because people attach like a health halo to certain words.
Yeah.
And I think supplements are definitely one of those categories where people just assume they're an unalloyed good because it's like medicine, but not medicine. And then they don't ever think of the fact that these companies, one of the most interesting details about like the supplement like regulation or lack thereof in comparison to other drugs is that supplement manufacturers are supposed to make sure their products aren't harmful, but basically they get to determine what counts as harmful and set their own like limits for that. So there's like no saying, hey, you can't have this much amount of lead in your supplement.
Give me an example of a limit they'd set.
So for like heavy metal contamination, for instance, the government might say like, hey, you probably shouldn't have like contaminants like heavy metal or, foreign like metals and like contaminants in your product. But they don't say like, hey, you shouldn't have X amount of lead in there. The companies themselves get to decide how much of a contaminant is harmful, and they get to do their own testing to make sure their products meet those self-imposed limits.
This just feels like it's going to kill someone at some. I'm sure someone has already had a situation where they over supplemented.
Well, no, this was a real issue back in the day.
Yeah. And I think what's fascinating / scary about it is because of the way this is reported, you, I think, get a very underreported figure of when someone comes to the hospital and they triangulate that it was due to supplementation, because there can be issues where whatever you're taking, even if it isn't contaminated, can interact with a prescription drug you're taking or another supplement that you're taking. And the doctors I spoke to said that it's not always clear what is causing the issue, because it could be one of the active ingredients in a supplement. It could be something that's a contaminant in the supplement. And like broadly speaking, liver damage is a huge issue in supplements broadly, just because when you ingest something, part of the liver's job is, filtering that out, whether there's lead or whatever in it. Even if it's exactly what you're supposed to be taking, it's taxing on the liver. So like what I found kind of scary in the literature is that even when they know that liver damage was caused by supplements, the reason why is not always clear. It could be because
you don't know
the
what
dosage,
they took.
like what it says on the label, very often is very different than the concentration of, what's in the actual pill or powder.
See, this is a thing I've seen on a lot of Amazon reviews because I've absolutely gone down this rabbit hole before. And you'll read things and people on Reddit will argue, it'll be like, actually the concentration of the main ingredient is different to the one they say. And it's just like, okay.
But I mean, then you can go even further where it's like, yeah, for that person, the concentration was different. Let's say it's like 200% more. That person, the next pill they took from that same bottle could be could be like 50% less or 300% more. It's really difficult. And it baffles me because I feel like a lot of people who turn towards supplements do so because they perhaps are skeptical about the medical establishment or pharmaceutical companies. So instead, they're turning to a less regulated industry with fewer checks and no one seemingly checking, or I guess on the same level of checking, to make sure the products are what they say they are.
And I will say, I have some sympathy to that. Don't worry, I'm not going that direction. Talking to when I used to be really overweight, I was like 350 pounds as a kid. Crazy fact. And when I go to doctors, they pretty much go, yeah, you're fat. And I'd be like, yeah, mate, I know. I'm told this every day at school, 17 times a day. I'm well aware. But any ideas like you should eat less? I'm like, sick. And then maybe 10, 15 years later, put on a bit of weight, not quite as much. It's basically the same. You tried some walking. It's like, okay, but nutritionally, I could put you in touch with a nutritionist. Like, it's like the base level knowledge or advice isn't there. And then booking, especially in America, getting a doctor's appointment costs money, costs time. You wait an hour to get in. Like, you have all of these things that are in the way. And then there are full of communities, full of people who will talk to you about supplements all day and be like, yeah, it changed my life. I can tell you which of these 19 pills I take an hour have changed my life. I feel really good, and I have a way of referencing that. It's the same way that people get radicalized. It
gives them a sense of control over something that feels uncontrollable.
And the reason I looked at the Huberman Lab stuff is not because I listen, but because there's a ranking of podcasts on Reddit.
And I assume right now you have a window open just refreshing that to see if we're
I
going
stopped doing that weeks ago. But you can look and you can see it is like a cult style thing where it's like, let's look at your stack. I think you may, but it's like the pill stack, and it's just.
I'm sorry, stank?
Stack.
Oh, okay. I was like,
the pill stank is what you get when you poop, when you kind of poop
There's
off.
a supplement for that.
I was about to say it.
Yeah. But since I started like posting my workouts a few years ago, I get the most insane advertisements on Instagram. These new brain power, like mind brain power. Every fitness influencer I've ever followed and unfollowed has always had there's this really great one called like the Blind Lifter. He's just this guy who's blind and lifts insane amounts, and his wife's like a very like normal looking woman. And like really nice guy, and they'll be like, yeah, it's my favorite supplement. It's like Brain Fuse. It's bright green. It's like, what the fuck? How do you know that this helps you? Do you feel smarter?
I think like going back to, some people feel alienated or they don't feel like doctors are listening. I heard that from doctors themselves where it's like, depending on where you practice as a physician, you might have about 15 minutes to see each patient.
Yeah.
So like you're trying to figure out the relevant symptoms, what you can do. Maybe it's a procedure, maybe it's a medication. But like doctors themselves are telling me that either, you don't get enough time to talk about proven lifestyle interventions you can make, talk about exercise, talk about nutrition and all of these things. It's more like just putting fires out so people don't feel like they have any space to talk to their doctor about things they could try, whether it's with exercise or whatever. So then you can find these people who will give you the time of day to walk through, their spiel and their pitch. And then at that point is where poor decisions can be made because just someone makes you feel seen and heard doesn't mean you should take their bathtub pills that they made. But
exactly. Or like, oh, go get magnesium pills and picking a random one. There's like 70 options on Amazon. And to your point, Paris, it's like, how do you know pill to pill how much magnesium is in it? Do you have no consistency to it?
I think there's two different kinds of people here, though. Like, there's some people who are resorting to supplements because they haven't found something that works for them in the traditional system, either because they haven't been diagnosed properly or they haven't had access to an expert or whatever. And those are people who are very desperate who will admit, like, I am lowering my threshold for evidence because I've tried everything else.
Oh,
and
for
if there's a chance. But on the Huberman side of things and like the stack where it becomes ritualized, like I do this every day, I do this every day. I think that's more like the wealthy or well-to-do, like worried well is what they're called, where it's like, I have everything else dialed in.
It's the optimizers.
I eat
the Brian Johnsons,
8 ounces of chicken breast and X, Y, and Z, and I make sure I get enough sleep because I'm tracking it, and I have a bed that works as long as AWS is up.
Yeah.
And, all of these things. And then the supplement is really like the icing on the cake is usually the term that they call it, where it's like, if you have everything else dialed in, this might help. And, if it works for you and if you're able to find things that are pure and like there's so many ifs, like then maybe, but there haven't been studies to show like we have like 4,000 guys like you and we've run this as a test. And a point that I think is missed sometimes is if something works, there's a mechanism. So like there's a trade-off somewhere. And I think actually Dr. Cohen, who's I was middle
to say, I could tell
Dr. Cohen?
Dr. Peter Cohen, I think he was referred to as not the supplement king, because it's the opposite of that. He's like the chief supplement skeptic. He's a great researcher and doctor who we both spoke to for our articles that has been kind of tracking this same issue that we've been talking about, but for decades.
Yeah. And he's like, I'm not fully against supplements as a concept. But all of these issues we brought up where it's like, before you even run one of these N of 1 studies on yourself, if you decide to, you can't guarantee that what you're testing yourself with is what it says on the label. And then aside from that, he was like, I think the main ones that he called out as being, if his patients are using them, it's like, we need to have a conversation about stopping
This is actually a question I had.
Stuff for weight loss, stuff for exercise, stuff for male sexual enhancement, which is another gas station genre.
Oh yeah. So I want to admit, I take testosterone. I'm on weekly Zyostat, prescribed by my doctor. Before I went and got that, I really looked into all of these weird testosterone things online.
You were doing the gas station boner pills?
No, because there was it was a weird thing where I was like, I recognize this is a hormone, and I've known enough women in my life that I know hormones do more. That you can't just hormone up one day and it'll be fine. But it's interesting because when you go and look online, the amount of cons related to just the word testosterone, there's a whole supplement thing of testosterone enhancer. And it's just based on no science. And then there are websites you can go to where it's we'll speak to a doctor and then you'll send us blood and then we'll send you testosterone in the mail and you'll inject yourself in the butt, I think.
I love to send someone blood and receive an injection.
No, there is a whole Viome, I think, where you said poop and poop.
Oh, and then they, it was a couple that started this poop testing startup and now they're both on the lam from, I believe, fraud charges.
So that's why they didn't get back to me. I sent them a lot of poop.
Yeah.
Some mine, some others. But it's just interesting how there's this whole predatory supplement, testosterone, protein powder thing online. There's 100 different companies. They're all doing weird shit. I get targeted for the high protein foods now.
Yes. That was
Are any of those full of lead?
I don't know. We didn't test them.
God damn it.
But I'm fascinated by them. And it's all I was thinking about when I was reporting this out. I just because every store has a protein boosted pasta, protein croissant,
I've
protein
eaten all
pop.
of them.
I've eaten a lot of them as well. But then you look in the back and it's what's one of the first ingredients?
Lead.
Whey protein. It just has lead. It's a whey protein concentrate or a pea protein
The
isolate.
plant ones I'm staying the fuck away from. Those ones are really fun though because you go and look, it's I need 20 grams of protein and only 200 calories for the cookie, and the cookie is the size of a dime. It's it's the insanity of these things as well. And it feels the internet is just this this kind of abuse mechanism for it because there's the ton. Actually, I will say there's a ton of really good Reddit threads where they're just no, it's bullshit, which is awesome. But the amount of hoi polloi around this supplement changed my life. And then another guy, I hate this. It gave me diarrhea. And it's okay.
I've been really fascinated. One of the responses I've gotten in my article from some of the people who take the supplements that have the most lead is being well, it's not that much lead. It's actually fine in comparison. And I was why are we stumping for lead, guys? But second, to your point earlier, I think just one of the things about this story that I find the most valuable is just people need to know, people should be able to figure out what is in their product and make an informed decision about whether or not they want that. If you like read, that Huel, one serving of Huel's Black Edition has like 6.3 micrograms of lead in it, and you're like, I'm into that. Good for you. Like, make your own decisions.
I've tried their food, and what's great is they call it food product, which is what you really want from the thing you're eating. And it also tastes and looks like prison food. I
love food product.
Back in the day, was a Soylent girly during a really deeply depressed time of my life.
No, I've had some depressing
times.
But
there was like a time where Soylent was just selling like a neutral rectangle of basically food product.
It's just slop.
It was slop, but in a square shape.
A slop brick?
Yeah, it was a slop brick. And
just stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that was giving me some sort of mental poisoning at the very least.
Oh, yeah, there really
just
is.
Based on vibes.
I do think you kind of said something, Ashwin, it's like there is a faith-based thing to it. It's a ritual. It's like I know when I've been in I'm going to be very vulnerable, the throes of like depression around weight loss and working out and such, the shit I would eat and like the small amounts of food or like the weird insulting products I'd eat. And you go online and other people doing it too. It's like, I am the penitent man. I shall pass like in Indiana Jones and I suffer like you do. And everyone's kind of suffering together. And at the time I was like, oh, this is great. Other people, I'm like, we all are very unhappy. And but the amount of...
But it's forming a community around being unhappy, and that's addictive.
It's the predatory nature. Yeah. It's radicalization, but in a different form. And weirdly enough, I haven't seen it around the fitness things. Like all the fight camp people I've talked to are just like kind of crazy. Like we just enjoy punching the bag. Like,
I mean, but there is like such a cult around protein maximalization, like protein maxing.
Yeah.
That I mean.
Well, actually, tell me a little bit about this.
People overwhelmingly think you need more protein than you actually do. Like I was definitely one of these people before I started like researching this story. I thought I was like similarly in my pits of depression, and micromanaging the food I ate. I was like, oh, I'm woefully protein deficient. I need to be making sure I'm having like 7 chicken breasts a day or something crazy like that, because that'll be great with my working out.
Ashwin was actually really helpful on this for me. Keep going, sorry.
And it's just like, for the average person, you're probably getting more than enough protein through your food. And unless you fall into some specific categories or have like a specific type of like workout need that you have, like you don't need to be having way over the recommended daily allowance of protein, which is 0.8 grams per kilogram body weight.
Thank you. I'm glad you know the stat I was actually going to ask. But Ashwin, you've been quite transformative with my weight loss because you're the one who mostly advocated for doing less weird shit. Just like try and get like work on consistency and eating enough protein.
Yeah. Who would have guessed doing things regularly is useful.
I feel like because I definitely fall into the maybe over-indexing for protein, but in like, I think part of the reason that it's having a moment / sustained moment is that when people like, if you're trying to have a rubric for, how to assemble a plate and, the largest things are protein and veg, like those are the most filling things, right? With fiber and how satiating protein is. And it's like, if you do that, there's not many other rules that you have to kind of abide by without getting into like, otherwise you can get kind of a little bit disordered depending on how you think about this stuff.
Yeah.
But then I think what became an issue is that there's research and, an emphasis on protein. And then it's like, okay, we need to put protein in water. We need to put it in chips. We need to put it.
It was protein beer. Like why? We need to calm down, folks. Do we really need
the
that?
protein chips.
It's fine.
Listen, the protein chips taste significantly better than you'd expect.
Yes, but that's always with proteins though. It's like, it's better than you'd expect.
But it seems like we're just, whoever is trying to solve like a much bigger problem with just a consumption.
Yeah, and I think there was like some interesting research I came upon, which is like people, if they looked at like 2 identical like cereal brands that one had the word protein on it and one didn't, they'd be like, oh, the protein one is healthier. And then if you actually looked at the ingredients in the back, the protein one was like less healthy.
It's the new low fat.
It is the new low fat, but it's been like, it's the first of these diet trends that we've had go on for a long time without ever having the bubble pop on it. Like there's no people being like, oh, protein is bad for you. And I don't think like protein isn't bad for you. It's totally fine to have, but you don't need to be obsessed with it. It doesn't need to be the end all.
And we
be all
both
of
say
your
this
life.
as people who have obsessed over protein.
Yes.
I think it's like the old trope was, you know how in, you know, like women's fitness magazines, they'd be like, I'm worried about lifting weights because as soon as I pick up a dumbbell, I'm going to be like, you know, jacked bodybuilder. And I'm worried about that. That's something that happens to people.
Yeah.
And I think now,
So easy.
And that is categorically untrue, just to be clear.
yeah, no, it's completely
If
false.
only it was that easy.
It's like, you know, you trip and fall, and if you pick up something by
I don't
accident,
know about you guys.
become
Every time I
huge.
accidentally touch a weight,
just
I just get
jacked.
ripped.
just like a Rob Liefeld
I can't
comic.
even like wear sleeved shirts.
Yeah, just they pop out.
But I think it's the same thing now where, you know, I've been like this. I've had friends like this where it's like they go to the gym twice and they're like, I don't think I'm getting enough protein. You're like, why? You're like, I don't feel like I'm getting the results. And you're like, how long have you been doing whatever? And then they're like, 2 days. You're like, oh, okay. You're trying to solve a much bigger problem with a consumption, you know, solution.
Yeah, and I think it's all taking advantage of a really shitty, sad thing, which is, yeah, if you're putting on weight, you might be eating too much food. If you're not putting on muscle, maybe you're not doing enough consistently. Yeah, maybe if you're not feeling healthy, are you doing things that are it's like
a really easy shortcut to feeling better about your choices. You're like, oh, it's not bad that I'm having a Pop-Tart. It's a protein Pop-Tart.
I'm not changing my life in any way, but my life will change somehow, and it's not my fault it's not changing, it's something else.
Yeah, it's like it's not bad that I had a whole bowl of pasta tonight because it's protein.
The protein Pop-Tarts are pretty good. I've tried. I feel
Listen,
like we're in the golden age of like low calorie, high protein things. I love it, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, you can just eat as much food as you used to in protein, and you're gonna plateau.
Yeah,
and it sucks, and it sucks a lot because I don't know. This all gets back to the core internet thing of everyone wants the easy choices. It's like the radicalization of young men. Oh, it's because women won't speak to you. Maybe you're rude. Maybe you don't bring much to the conversation.
Maybe you've got bad vibes.
Maybe you have bad breath. Like maybe you have a bad something. Maybe
all that protein you're eating is
Yeah.
making you stank.
Yeah, protein farts are real.
No, they really are. Yeah. It's really bad. But it's like you can't find an easy way out, so you blame something. And in this case, it's I didn't have enough pills. I didn't have all of the many pills.
My stack needs to be higher.
No, it really, the stack stuff is crazy.
Well, that's actually, to that point, like I've spoken to like health influencers who have and ones who I consider like pretty responsible. And they're like, we're trying to make boring things sexy, whether it's like, because otherwise you can't have a health podcast that comes out twice a week with just established stuff. Because it would be like, hey, did you get enough sleep? How much have you exercised this week? How is your mental health? And how is your nutrition? And that would be it. You know, like, but they can be like, oh, there's a promising new rat study done on two rats. One of them exploded, but the other, you know, looks pretty good.
So long as you don't explode, you'll be so hot.
Only 2 out of the 7 rats exploded.
And they had bad vibes.
And the others were jacked.
Yeah. No, this is the problem. Whenever I spoke to like fitness or performance like experts in like the research field of like protein and muscle, I was like, oh, well, what's like the best advice for you? And he's like, nobody wants to hear it, but just like eat whole foods, make healthy choices, take care of your body. Everyone falls asleep if you say that.
No, my big secret is that I sleep 7.5 to 8 hours a night. I mandate this. And it's like, doing that changed my life more than any pill I've taken in my goddamn life, other than like maybe my methylphenidate for my ADHD. It's insane how much that helped. But the problem is once you've got into the routine of sleep, it's great. Making yourself get into a routine of sleeping that much is actually very difficult.
Nightmarish.
And you need, like, I sleep with like the blackout thing.
I'm just imagining you in a coffin.
No, I really, it's super cold.
Oh,
I have like the full blackout eye mask. I take like melatonin and trazodone sometimes if I'm having trouble sleeping. I sleep like a baby and it's great. But it's like, to your point, Ashwin, it's like, yeah, that would really help. I don't know how the fuck a parent does that. Like, I don't know how like someone with like 3 kids would possibly ever fucking do that.
Someone who works nights.
Someone who works nights. Someone who just has a stressful job that comes up in their mind when they close their eyes.
Someone who's housing insecure.
Yeah,
There's
exactly. Like any number of things
Yeah.
could change, or just anyone with a decent amount of stress in their life, it's difficult. And even like I feel like some of these fitness influencers or the fitness communities, there is a degree of pressure. There's not really much empathy at all. Like, Asher, I've definitely messaged you with just like, I feel like shit about my, it's most of the time you just say, you doing all right? Like, it could be maybe you got knocked off your routine. And I think that the grisly fact of all this is, it's routine, consistency, actually having good advice. Like, I took me years to find someone who could actually tell me a routine that would work. I was lifting and literally hurting myself for years because everything I read was like, you need to do the big 3 core lifts, you fucking moron. You can't bench, you can't,
Piece of shit.
you
How
can't
dare
bench
you.
your weight. Like, I'm like a $165, $170, right? $170 maybe. And I can't bench my body weight, but I'm healthier and stronger than I've ever been. But just like on one core lift, I can't. And it's like, I can squat 300 though. And it's fucking strange because there's so much literature that says that's bad. Even the BMI, which is by like a...
Buy like health insurance, not
thought-
health insurance.
I thought the BMI was by like an anthropologist.
No, it's
Actually,
by some corporate figure. Perhaps life insurance.
No, that's Steps. Steps were the one that I'm sorry, anyone who talks about Steps, that was a Japanese life insurance company. It was like like a Japanese health insurance company. I'm pretty sure the BMI. I'm going to look this up live on the show.
I was about to say you have the technology here.
Yeah, there we go. Who invented this? Adolphe Quetelet, a Belgian astronomer, said that word flawlessly. Mathematician, statistician. Devised the basis of the BMI between 1830 and 1850.
Hey, that's when they really knew their stuff.
That's when they really knew science, for example. It's just fucking stupid. There's so much bad. Like, the steps thing is the thing that frustrates me as well, because you can do so many steps without anything happening.
Yeah.
Like, I've fallen into this trap myself, and I hope that it's clear, anyone listening to this is not a shame thing. This is a thing that I have done where he's like, oh, I got 10,000 steps. That means shit. Like, it's like,
what is that based on?
Yeah.
Like the Japanese pedometer?
yeah, that's exactly it. It's like the
60
insurance
something.
company. And it sucks because that was the earliest version of this supplement fitness kind of scam thing.
Well, I feel like, 10,000 steps was, the kind of like the prototype for a bunch of things we've seen since, where all of these devices have come up with some kind of proprietary metric where it's like, you got 1 million Google points for, your activity.
The one I'm seeing so much now is like your body's age, your biological age is 18 or something like that. And it's like, sir, you are a 39-year-old man. Just feel good about yourself.
But you have boy blood.
You've got boy blood.
I should also
coursing
be
through your
clear, by the
veins.
way, if you're doing steps, moving is important. It's good. If you're
doing any of these things,
if you're walking,
if something
great.
makes you happy and you're an adult with free will, live your truth.
But I have an Aura ring, and I do have an 8-sleep mattress.
Did it break?
No,
during the?
I was, and I'm a baby. I need like cold. Like, I have it in like -10. I am like an actual creature. But I have stats from my ring. I have stats from my bed. I've got this thing called Somni that does like tax electrical things. It's great. It really helps. And like my REM sleep is up, and I think I feel it's just, but like I don't really have any frame of reference for what any of this does. Knowing how much I sleep is useful because it's like, if I have less than 8, I don't feel as good. But it's like, I have data for years and years. I could not tell you a single fucking thing about my fitness other than I feel and look better than I have. Like, I can't tell you shit. But there's this guilt factor about it as well, with like Strava loves to inform me like, oh, you move things down, your numbers are low. It's like, thank you, Strava. What am I meant to do with this? Oh, I forgot to work out. That's what happened. I need guilt trips.
Yeah, I think like it takes a lot of discipline and perspective to not go nuts from having all this information in front of you. Like, I remember when I got one of the first Fitbits, and it very, very quickly became like a obsessive thing that I had to stop using, where it's like, oh, I could get to a nice round number if I go for another run, or like,
It's like the MyFitnessPal trap.
No.
Yeah, that was once I signed up for a gym, and they had to, like, as part of the package, you could get a session with a personal trainer. And I got this guy who's like, oh, you got to start tracking what you eat. And he was like, use MyFitnessPal. And I tried it for a day. I was like, this is going to drive me insane and give me a new type of eating disorder that I don't want. And it's just one of those things where, some people are able to do that and make it part of their lifestyle, and other people, it drives them fucking nuts.
I do think we need some degree of like tonal, for example. I did injure myself using it. It was my fault. I just overtrained. It feels like it should be able to tell you. Like, hey man, you've done 4 heavy lifts in the last 5 days. Maybe not. Maybe you should think about it for a second. Peloton, I mean, I've overtrained on it when I used to do it years ago. You go on the Reddit, tons of people overtrain on it. You get obsessive. They have the medals you can get. And there's absolutely no like coaching aspect. It's not like hey, you've done a lot of heavy stuff. Maybe do some there's no real guidance, and there's so much.
Well, it's because all of these companies now operate like tech companies where increasing user engagement is one of the end goals. Of course you want engaged users. Of course you want your users that are moderately engaged to become highly engaged. Why would you ever want to slow down that ramp? But it gets more complicated when you're talking about people and their bodies and habits and actual human things.
Yeah, and it's also just it gets back to the thing of there's not much qualified advice. There's a lot of seemingly qualified, but it's hard to tell what the actual, there's 100 million different people who'll be like, I'll build you a plan. There's none of them have worked other than the guy called Ben, the PC guy on Twitter, and as in personal computer. Used to work at Microsoft, lovely guy. He's the only person, other than Ashwin, I think, who's given me like any like useful, reliable fitness advice. And a lot of it's just, mix in a bit of cardio, volume's good. But you read a bunch of other stuff. No, dude, starting strength. 5x5, you fucking pig.
Yeah.
If you don't have 1.5x by the end of the year,
I'm going to come to your house and kick you in the balls.
Yeah, I'm going to squat you in half.
Yeah.
I'm going to do to what Bane did to Batman. And then I'm going to log that in Strava. Strava's also shit. A lot of these things are also shit for logging fitness. Like, it's just, like, the Apple Watch also doesn't stay on my... There's a lot of just times when I use this stuff, I'm like, do people who do fitness use this thing? Or is this just, to your point, Paris, just another tech company? I will go to bat for Tonal in that I've used it for years and I think it's one of the best ones because it does actually really hound you about form. But like things like Peloton, they don't give
I was going to say, I think any of these products, if you use them in moderation, if they bring some sort of joy to your life, if they bring consistency, that's great. But it's hard when you mix kind of habit-forming products and the kind of flywheel of engagement with something like exercise.
Yeah, and I feel like it's almost antithetical to what makes exercise successful, which is you kind of need to learn how your body feels, which is a very woo-woo thing, but it's true. Like, when your body, like some weeks you may do 4 exercises, sometimes you may do 2 because you're, I don't know, speaking from experience, you hurt your calf and you hurt your elbow in the same week. Yeah, you probably shouldn't push yourself to box or lift, even if your brain's saying you get fat if you do. But nevertheless, it's like that, it runs completely contrary to a product that's the goal is to keep you using it. Like the you must log in every day. If you don't do that, you're a pig in a hat.
The Duolingo owl is going to beat you up.
I will kill the Duolingo owl.
I do my Duolingo every day, and like that Lily will be like, "Hey, you haven't done. It would be a shame if you lose your streak." And I take all of my sleeping pills tonight. You're like, chill out. I'll do it. But
I'm in the garage.
Like the incentive for these, the companies. Obviously they act like tech companies where they're trying to keep things as sticky as possible and, have things on subscription basis instead of just being able to buy stuff outright. Mm-hmm. And I found like it's antithetical to a proper business model, but a lot of this stuff is useful for a period of time. Like I tried Whoop and some of it I found useful. Some of it was annoying to me that it doesn't track weightlifting as well as cardio. And because I lost the forest for the trees, I would do more cardio because that would get counted, which is idiotic if you step back and be like, I'm doing it because of my bracelet that I'm paying for. But, some people, you use something to collect some data and then you kind of pair that with your intuition and what works or what you're feeling, because I found Whoop would tell me I had a great sleep and I felt like shit and vice versa. Mm-hmm. And you realize you have to know yourself well enough to maybe make a overriding decision that it's not accurately capturing how you feel. And then once you spend a period of time doing whatever training, you don't necessarily need a gizmo or gadget to tell you what you feel, intuitively. But that's not something that they're going to say like, oh, try this and then throw it in the garbage.
Yeah, you're only going to need this a minute, mate. Don't worry. Just pay us for a month. Who gives a shit? They love all the growth people are yelling at me, but you just fucking get rid of it. It sucks, but I I do love it. I love
You are the most, I feel like, metrics obsessed person I know. In just terms of you're always posting your fitness metrics.
I love it. No, I actually love it's just also like good for me to just do and be like, okay, I did that. I forgot whether I did or not.
Yeah, no, it seems like, I don't know.
And it's fun. No, I just run to a local basketball court and I just run around for 45 minutes, missing.
I'm just imagining you by yourself. There's not even a basketball. You're just shooting and hollering.
I'm just air shooting. No, I admit I went on Amazon and there was a tech-enabled basketball.
What is it?
No,
I imagine that your basketball can like degrade you while you're shooting.
It's
you're not doing
like
this
Claptrap
pig.
from Borderlands.
Yeah.
Like, that was a bad shot. That's a good fucking. No, it's like you can measure.
Guys, we should stop this podcast right now
No,
and
if
launch
you-
a
We have a
basketball
ball
that
to
yells.
design.
If you're one of the companies with a connected basketball, send it to me. I would love to play the basketball. You can send all my data to China. Just like there's a pig butchering operation that starts in on me because I can't shoot.
If you shoot the basketball well enough, then a hole opens in it and it shoots a protein supplement right in your mouth.
Like a fish
yum.
biscuit from Lost. No, or just like if you shoot really badly, you have to keep playing. It's like
Again.
the ball starts getting heavier. It was $250. $250. I guess like
I mean,
I sort
this
of.
is a dumb person thought, but my thought is, wouldn't it be kind of hard to make a tech product that works well that you also throw at the ground repeatedly?
That's the thing. I'm oddly curious about it, and I guess now I've talked about it on the show. I could tax deduct it, but there was also a $5,000 basketball hoop, which fucking
What?
no, it's like it's so cool. I definitely went down there. I'm like,
What
never.
about it?
What it
makes
is the hoop. The backboard of it is a screen, so it's like Peloton, and it's like,
But
shoot
again,
the ball, shoot the ball.
Why are you making
Nerf
a
makes
complicated tech product that is expensive that you throw something really hard at?
Well, that I can understand because that's how basketball works. It's more I'm just like, who the fuck is this for? Because $5,000 for that, you can probably just go to a local court where people play and they'll just tell you why you're trash. They'll
That's
screaming
true.
at you. And like, if anyone in New York wants to get together, shoot hoops, absolutely, Ashwin, I know it would be meaning, but it's like, the most joy I've got out of any of this isn't the tech-enabled stuff. It's shooting the shit with people once you get over the initial hoop of exercise sucking. And I wish, like, it sucks because the supplement stuff online is very noxious, the kind of predatory stuff, but the communities online with fitness have been very good. Like, there's actually, like, when you get away from the very negative ones, and it's just the people having fun, it's great. But there's such a war within them of, like, the stat maxers. Or the cheats, of course. The people who just cheat.
Yeah.
The Peloton cheats are fucking great. You can fuck
There's that website that will
Strava
allow you
cheats?
to cheat your Strava. Yeah.
that's the Peloton ones. You can change the magnets. You can unscrew it and change the magnet.
Hacking your Peloton.
No, because when I used to do Peloton a lot, I used to get really pissed off because I'd really I knew my stats, and I'd see a guy doing like 500 watts for like 45 minutes. I'm like, you are
What's
fucking.
this for?
It's like doping in the Nerd Olympics.
No,
like,
it's straight up broke. It's why I stopped using Peloton because I'm like, the whole reason I do this is to get better, and this is a measurement of my strength. This number no longer means anything. Like, this number is meaningless now. I can't even tell.
Especially because it's obviously a competitive aspect.
Yeah,
Something
exactly.
Like
It's
Peloton
like-
is like you're like, I'm always being lapped by this person who clearly just has like their magnets.
And you look, and the line is just at the top of the graph.
I don't know. Maybe the strongest guy in the world.
Yeah, it's just a
was
guy with, like-
actually
It's like a
in all of her
Terminator.
classes,
Yeah,
yeah.
like- man.
like thighs, 3 feet wide thighs. Just like he has
Yeah.
to get a special pedal, but tiny
Yeah.
feet.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're gonna wrap it there. Now we've talked about the tiny-footed Peloton person. Paris, where can people find you?
You can find me on Blue Sky at paris.nyc or Twitter at Paris Martineau, and follow my work at Consumer Reports.
Ashwin?
yeah, you can find me at Blue Sky as well. I think I'm the only Ashwin Rodrigues on there. And my website is ashwinrodrigues.com.
And I am Ed Zitron. You can find me on the podcast Better Offline. I nearly missaid the name of the podcast there, but I recovered flawlessly. I took a week off of my fucking premium newsletter last week, so please subscribe so that I can feel better about myself. Should be a fun week coming up. I think I'm just going to do a very simplified monologue this week and just really run through the basics, because I've had requests that we need the basics of the AI bubble done, which is crazy because I've done like 100 episodes on it. Anyway, I love you all. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you to Bahid. We're out here in New York City. We've kicked ass out here. And yeah, catch you next week, and actually on the monologue as well.
Thank you for listening to Better Offline. The editor and composer of the Better Offline theme song is Matt Osowski. You can check out more of his music and audio projects at mattosowski.com. mattosowski.com. You can email me at easy@betteroffline.com or visit betteroffline.com to find more podcast links and, of course, my newsletter. I also really recommend you go to chat.wheresyoured.at to visit the Discord and go to r/betteroffline to check out our Reddit. Thank you so much for listening.
Better Offline is a production of Cool Zone Media. For more from Cool Zone Media, visit our website, coolzonemedia.com, or check us out on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.